The Windows icon you click daily has been the epicenter of computing for decades. It's an operating system that's seen triumphs, disasters, and countless blue screens. We're diving into the revolutions and reasons why some Windows versions became legends, while others are best forgotten. Let's explore how Microsoft defined how you interact with a computer. Before Windows, there was MS-DOS, Microsoft Disk Operating System. The text-based foundation, released in 1981. It powered early PCs, requiring users to command the computer with simple syntax, like typing dir to see files, instead of clicking. Though demanding and lacking graphics or mouse support, MS-DOS was revolutionary, dominating the market and setting the stage for Microsoft's graphical future. In 1985, Microsoft finally dared to challenge the text-only world with Windows 1.0. Its entire purpose was simple: to make computers easier to use. Built on top of the existing MS-DOS system, it allowed people to finally interact with their computer by clicking on icons, instead of having to constantly type commands, marking the debut of basic apps like Paint, Notepad, and Reversi. However, Windows 1.0 was locked in a tile mode, meaning you couldn't overlap applications. They had to sit neatly side by side. It lacked fundamental features like minimize or maximize buttons. Furthermore, since the entire system depended on a mouse, and mice were still a relatively rare peripheral, it struggled to gain mass adoption. It was a buggy, simple, and often frustrating first draft, but it was the essential, shaky first step toward the modern desktop. Just 2 years later, in 1987, Windows 2.0 arrived, fixing one of its predecessor's biggest limitations: overlapping windows. This crucial feature, which allowed multiple application windows to stack like papers on a desk, dramatically improved multitasking. This overlap view was perfectly timed for the rise of significant productivity software like Microsoft Word and Excel. However, this design sparked a massive legal battle. Apple sued Microsoft, claiming the overlapping interface copied the design of their Macintosh computer. Microsoft prevailed because they had previously helped Apple develop software for the Mac, granting them the legal right to use certain interface concepts. It was a court case that cemented Microsoft's ability to evolve the desktop interface. The third time was the charm. It was Windows 3.0, was launched in 1990. It introduced a full-color graphical interface that looked dramatically cleaner. Thanks to new, powerful processors like the Intel 386, the system could handle heavier, more complex applications like CorelDRAW and run multiple programs at once with improved stability. The follow-up, Windows 3.1, was launched in 1992. It popularized the intuitive drag-and-drop feature, replacing the need for complex file transfer shortcuts. This single feature, combined with the power of its improved graphical look and the debut of TrueType fonts, made computers significantly easier for the average person to operate. Windows was no longer just for big offices. It had become a genuine household name. Windows 95 was the modern revolution, launched in 1995. A massive marketing push accompanied its release, and it delivered on the hype. It was the first Windows that felt distinctly modern, and is the ancestor of the interface we still use today. The key innovations were the Start menu and taskbar. This was the game changer, creating a single, centralized location to access all programs and manage open tasks. Plug and play. This solved a major headache. Before 95, adding a new device meant manually installing a specific driver. With plug and play, the computer automatically recognized and configured it, making hardware installation seamless. The Internet era. It bundled an Internet Explorer, introducing millions of users to the World Wide Web, though the initial experience was often unstable. Windows 95 was a successful merger of the old DOS backbone with a new 32-bit Windows system, selling over 40 million copies in its first year. Windows 98, released in 1998. Windows 98 was primarily an improvement on 95, focusing on better hardware and internet support. Most importantly, it introduced full USB support. Before this, computers had confusing ports for nearly every device. Windows 98 standardized the connection, allowing mice, keyboard, and other peripherals to use a single universal connector, the USB port. It also improved Internet Explorer's stability and added dual monitor support. Unfortunately, stability remained a problem. Windows 98 gained lasting notoriety when Bill Gates himself was demonstrating the plug-and-play feature live on CNN, only for the entire system to crash and display the infamous blue screen of death to a global audience. It was a humiliating yet hilarious moment that perfectly encapsulated the buggy nature of the era. Arriving at the turn of the millennium, Windows Millennium Edition is almost universally regarded as Microsoft's worst Windows version ever, released in 2000. It was plagued by instability. Simply opening software could cause the entire computer to lag, freeze, or completely crash. Users quickly dubbed the Mistake Edition. It did introduce some useful concepts, notably System Restore, which allowed a user to roll back their system files to a previous stable state. However, even this feature didn't always function correctly. Microsoft created an unstable, unreliable, and generally despised operating system that most users immediately abandoned. After the Me fiasco, Microsoft needed a rock-solid system, and they delivered Windows XP. It was released in 2001 and remembered as one of the best and longest-lasting Windows versions. It was a massive visual and functional overhaul, built on the much more stable Windows NT kernel. Its colorful, clean, and modern interface immediately felt fresh. Key features included a faster startup time, much better hardware detection, and built-in CD burning, which was crucial as CDs were the dominant form of storage. Its reliability and stability made it the default operating system for nearly a decade. Its iconic Bliss wallpaper becoming the most viewed photograph in history. Windows XP was a system people trusted for work, gaming, and everything in between. Windows Vista, released in 2007. Windows Vista aimed high, but was a commercial disappointment. Its most visible feature was the Arrow interface, which added transparent windows and flashy 3D animations. It also introduced user account control, a security feature that required confirmation before any program could make a major system change. Unfortunately, both key upgrades became major problems. The beautiful Arrow interface was too heavy for the average PC of the time, consuming massive resources and making the computer laggy. The UAC, while helpful for security, appeared too often and quickly became an annoying pop-up. Vista was a lesson in how prioritizing shiny visuals and overzealous security can ruin a user's experience. Microsoft learned its lesson with Vista and delivered a masterpiece with Windows 7 in 2009. It was essentially a refined, optimized version of Vista, keeping the sleek Arrow interface but stripping away the lag and performance issues. It was an instant hit due to its speed and stability. Windows 7 introduced clever features that dramatically improved workflow. The ability to pin applications to the taskbar, an instant search bar to find apps and files, and the incredibly useful Snap feature, which allowed users to drag a window to the side of the screen to automatically resize it to half for side-by-side comparison. Windows 7 quickly became one of the most beloved and widely used operating systems in history. In an attempt to prepare for the growing tablet and touchscreen market, Microsoft launched Windows 8 in 2012, resulting in one of its most controversial releases. Microsoft removed the classic Start menu entirely, replacing it with a full-screen Start screen covered in live, touch-friendly tiles. While the core system was fast and secure, the interface felt completely awkward and alienating for the vast majority of users who still relied on a mouse and keyboard. It required horizontal scrolling to find applications and made simple tasks feel complicated. Customer backlash was so swift and intense that Microsoft was forced to release Windows 8.1 a year later, which brought back a visible Start button. In 2015, Microsoft announced that Windows 10 would be their last version of Windows, intended to be a continuously updated service. It represented a major comeback, successfully blending the best elements of 7 and 8. It brought back the normal Start menu, but integrated modern features, like live tiles, into a section of it. Windows 10 introduced virtual desktops for organizing separate workspaces and a useful task view for easily managing all open applications. A free upgrade offer fueled its immense popularity. However, it wasn't perfect, earning a reputation for mandatory, often inconvenient and random forced updates and restarts, leading to plenty of internet memes. Despite its quirks, it became the new industry standard for almost a decade. Replacing the promised last version, Windows 11 arrived in 2021 with a clear mandate: a modern facelift. The most striking visual difference is a centered Start menu and taskbar icons, giving the desktop a Mac-like, softer visual feel with rounded corners. It significantly improved the multitasking game with Snap layouts, which allows users to hover over the Maximize button and instantly choose complex, predefined window arrangements. The File Explorer also finally gained a much-needed tab feature, making it easier to manage and move files. While visually distinct, Windows 11's main controversy lies in its strict hardware requirements, specifically the need for TPM 2.0, which immediately locked out many older, but still capable PCs, forcing many users to stick with the reliable Windows 10. From a simple tiled shell running on top of MS-DOS to a sleek multitasking hub, the history of Windows is a perfect encapsulation of the last 40 years of technology. Each version was a step, some forward, some backward, that collectively built the digital world we navigate today. It's a legacy of innovation, court battles, blue screens, an enduring quest to make computing easier for everyone. Which version was your favorite? Let me know.